Most history is passed down to us in stories. There weren't historians present at every event down through the ages. People's stories lined up and history was recorded. That's one reason our stories are so important. They become a part of a greater history, a bigger story that's being written. Our stories converge with each other, and then people benefit from them for a long, long time. Mostly though, your story is important because people are moved, compelled by good stories. We relate to characters and circumstances in other stories, and others will relate to those in ours. I know a lot of times we think our stories are boring or unimportant, and to be sure, no one's story is a non-stop action film. There are boring, less important parts. I'm sure you don't want to hear about my family camping trips when I was a kid. It rained every single time. End of story. But a great part of all of that is the laughter and the relationship I had with my parents. And there are compelling parts to your story too. There are experiences and relationships you've had that'll impact the lives of others if you're willing to share them. Now remember this, the bad parts of your story matter too. Sometimes there are things we're reluctant to share, but people can learn so much from those. It's probably those experiences where you grew the most, which means others will grow from them also. In Romans 8:28 and 29, it says, "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to His purpose for them. For God knew His people in advance, and He chose them to become like His Son." God uses the good and the bad things in life to help us become more and more like Jesus. When we share our brokenness, how we overcame or are still overcoming, others learn that they can change and they gain the desire to do so. And transparency builds credibility. One of our values here is make it real. That includes our stories. Now, if what I said so far doesn't convince you of the value of your story, how about this? Jesus taught using stories all the time. Sometimes we call them parables. One of my favorites was the time Jesus told the story about a guy traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho. It's a really dangerous road. This guy got robbed, beat up along the way, and then was left for dead. Well, then two very religious guys saw the guy and passed by without helping him. They were the ones you would expect to help. Then another guy, a Samaritan businessman, found the man and helped in a way beyond what anyone would have expected. In fact, Jesus' audience thought this would be the last person that would help. He used this story to show that everybody's our neighbor, and God expects us to show them love. The crowd listening to Jesus definitely understood his point. You see, stories are powerful. Now, you might not think so, but your story can be powerful too. What you've experienced can impact somebody's life if you're willing to share it. In your group time, you're going to explore at least one part of your story that can benefit somebody else.